Alrighty. Good morning, yogis. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. So let's take a moment to become present. So find yourself a nice, comfortable seated position where your spine and back of your neck can sit nice and tall and long, opening your chest, opening your heart. Gently close your eyes. Soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. And soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes. Excuse me. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I would like to talk about is the sixth limb of yoga, which is called Dharana. And it comes after the withdrawal of the senses and before meditation. So it's trying to get into that constant mode of concentration. And there's several techniques to help you get into that mode of concentration to get a focused mind. It's kind of like when you have a puppy and you're training it to sit and stay. You're trying to do the same thing with your mind. It's like training it to sit and stay and be focused. So one of the techniques is called Trakata, and it's the word gaze in Sanskrit. And the theory is that you have, if you have still eyes, you have a still mind. So the technique involves focusing on an object like a candle or a statue or a flower, anything that you can focus on. And a lot of people who set up maybe a meditation space in their home, they have maybe a little altar that they have a flower on or a candle on, they light it. So that helps that focus, that Trakata, by focusing in on that one object on the table. Another technique is Anapanasati, and that is a breath awareness on the raw sensations of your body. So there's a quote from Buddha that says, being sensitive to the whole body, the yogis breathe in. Being sensitive to the whole body, the yogis breathe out. So it's just about being awareness. We do this every week, kind of just checking in with your body while you're breathing, sending deep breaths in and out, and doing a body scan with them, and just finding any point of tension that might be relieved by your breath. Your breath is very nourishing. And the last one is the one that a lot of people hear in yoga classes. It's called Drishti, and that is placing your gaze on a focus outwardly. And that gaze is intended to influence our physical body, both in posture and in alignment. And it also refers to a point of view inwardly, which influences your energetic body. And the feeling is there's 9 Drishti points. One is looking up to the sky. One is looking inward to your third eye. One is looking at the tip of your nose, which I can't say I find I'm doing a lot. One is looking left, one is looking right, one is looking at your left hand, and then your right hand, your navel, and then your feet. So those are the 9 Drishti points. And again, they're intended to help with your posture and your alignment in the pose. So for this morning, I'd like to spend a few moments in a meditation using one of these several techniques. The Trakata, I'm actually going to put on the video here a picture of a candle, it lit candles. So you can gaze at that, and that would be the Trakata technique. Or you can focus on your breath, the Anapanasati, and just focus on how your inhale goes through your body and how your exhale goes through your body. And if you like a mudra, the traditional mudra Gyan, where you're putting your index finger and your thumb together and your other 3 fingers are upright, and you just rest those on your lap. That's Gyan is all about concentration. So I think that's often why you see the Buddha or other meditators with that, because it helps with your concentration. So let's just take a few moments to spend on meditation, again, using any of those techniques. And I'll put the picture of the candle up. All right, so I will meet you on the mat and we'll begin our asana practice. So starting in the basic seated pose, which you probably already are, and you can stay on any cushion or block that you may be on. Let's just bring our hands together in Anjali Mudra, our fingertips and the top or bottoms of our fingertips, which is the balls of our hand. Bring those together and just feel the sensation of them pressing against one another. And we're just going to be trying to do a lot of focusing today. So just focus on each movement as you make it. So starting with the fingertips and the balls of your hand. And this is when what you feel here is what you should feel when you put your hands on the mat for quite a number of the poses. So not against your wrists. So we'll do 9 or some of the 9 Drishti points, and we're going to use Drishti a lot today as well. So let's just start with our sun breath, bringing our tips of our fingers to the sides of the mat. Inhale deeply, bringing your hands up over your head and sending your gaze up to your hands, up to the sky. So that's one of the Drishti points. And then exhale, bringing your hands back down, focusing on a point ahead of you, in front of you. Inhale up, bringing your gaze up to your hands overhead. And exhale, bringing your hands back down to the mat. Inhale up, lifting your eyes up to your hands. And then exhale, bringing them back down. And inhale, bring your hands up, overhead, sending your gaze up to your hands. And then turn to the left, bring your hands down. Your right hand lands on your left knee. Your left hand lands right below the back of your hips. And you send your gaze off to the left side of the mat. Deep inhale. And then deep exhale. Deep inhale, lifting your hands up overhead, and follow your hands with your eyes, and then twist to the right, bringing your left hand down to your right knee, your right hand behind your hips, and send your gaze off to the right side of your mat. I actually have a nice gaze from this spot. I can see my neighbor's horses in their field, so it's lovely. But that's not concentrating, that's just looking. So inhale, bringing your hands back up. And twisting to the left, bringing your hands back down. Exhale, take a deep inhale. Deep exhale. Inhale up. Your hands, bringing your gaze up to your hands, and then bringing your hands back down on the right side. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. And bring your hands up overhead, sending your gaze up to your hands and bringing your hands back down to the mat. We're going to do some seated side stretches. So again, have your fingertips out to the sides of your body, and we're going to bend the right arm, right elbow, and send the left hand overhead, and send the gaze down to your hand on the mat. And if it's comfortable for you, slowly turn that gaze up to the hand over your head. And then slowly turn it back down to your hand on the mat. Then come back up to a straight seated position. Fingertips extended to the side. Do that on the other side. So bend your elbow down toward the mat, your left elbow down toward the mat, sending your right arm up overhead. First, send your gaze down to your hand on the mat, your left hand. And then slowly send your gaze up to your right hand, if that's comfortable. And then slowly turn it back down to your left hand. And we'll do that again on the opposite side. So come back to straight position. Bend your right elbow down toward the mat, sending your left hand up overhead. Your gaze goes to your right hand. And slowly turn your head up to your hand over your head. And then send it back down to your hand on the mat. Come back up. And on the left side, bend your left elbow down toward the mat, sending your right arm up overhead. Send your gaze to the hand on the mat. Send your gaze up to the hand overhead. And then back to your hand on the mat. And then come back up to a seated position. We'll get up onto our hands and knees into tabletop. So get yourself comfortable with that. Again, remember how your fingertips and the balls of your base of your fingertips felt when you were in Anjali Mudra, and try to get that same feeling on your mat. Fingertips are spread wide apart. Knees are hip width apart. Navel's tucked to the spine to have a nice straight back. We're going to send our left foot down to the bottom of the mat and try to have your weight distributed evenly while you do this as well in your hands. So send your left leg down to the back of the mat, and then send your left leg over to the outside on the right side of the mat. So it's crossing over your right foot, coming off the mat on the right side of the mat, and then send your gaze back to look at your foot. And then bring your foot back to tabletop. We'll do that on the other side. So send your right leg to the bottom of the mat, cross it over the left, and have it go outside the left side of the mat, keeping your weight evenly distributed in your hands. Then gently turn your head to the left to look at your foot. And then bring that leg back. We'll do that one more time each side. Extend your left leg down to the bottom of the mat. Move it to the right side of the mat and slowly turn your gaze and look at your foot. Bring your foot back to tabletop. And then extend your right leg, crossing it over your left foot. Bring it to the left side of the mat and send your gaze to look at your foot. And bring that back to tabletop. We'll do some cat-cows. So inhaling, lifting your head up, tailbone goes up, and then exhaling, rounding your back, head goes down, tailbone goes down, and you're welcome to reverse the breathing whichever way feels best for you. So you may be inhaling on the rounding of the back and exhaling when you dip your head down, either way. And just continue taking nice deep breaths. And when you're doing the cat version, you're kind of tucking your head down and under, and here's one of the Drishti points is to look at your navel. So again, Drishti is about trying to find alignment and posture, or them helping you with that. So see if you can gaze either at your navel or at the tip of your nose when you do the cat. And one more, we'll come back to tabletop. And let's bring our knees together and prepare for bird dog. So extend your right leg out at hip height. Again, having your weight evenly distributed in the front. Lift your left arm up. And inhale, pointing your toes. Exhale, flexing your foot. Inhale, point your toes. Exhale, flex your foot. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. One last time. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex, and bring both hand and knee back down. We'll do that on the other side. Extend your left leg up at hip height, evenly distributed. Hips should be parallel to the mat, not turned upward toward the sky. And lift your right arm off the mat. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. 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 And one last time. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. And bring both hand and leg back down to the mat. And we'll walk our hands, tucking our toes under, walk our hands back, coming into a squat position. And then push down with your feet to lift up to mountain. We'll go through our mountain essentials and focusing on some Drishti points. So look at your toes, that's a Drishti point. They should be parallel to the edge of your mat. You lift your toes off the mat, spread them wide apart, and then bring your toes back down to the mat, lifting your heels off the mat. And then come back down to the mat. Legs are nice and straight and strong. Knees have a nice soft bend in them. Navel's tucked to the spine. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. The spine sits nice and tall, back of the neck. The chin is tucked in slightly, so it's not jutting out. Crown of your head is reaching up to the sky. I'm going to take a deep inhale, sweeping our hands up overhead. And then exhale, forward fold, bending your knees deeply so that your hands reach the floor. And just take a moment to send your breaths through your body, finding any tension, and send that inhale, exhale to those tense spots. Inhale, send your hands up to your shins for half forward fold. Straighten your back, send your gaze down to the floor so that your back of your spine and back of your neck is nice and long. Opening your chest and opening your heart. And then exhale, forward fold, bringing the crown of your head down toward the ground. Here's the spot where you can look at your navel. And then sweep your hands from the floor all the way up overhead. Send your gaze up to your hands. And then we'll come up on our toes for palm tree. You can keep your gaze straight ahead. Find a Drishti, so a spot on your wall that is not moving, and that'll help you focus on staying still. It's like still eyes, still mind. And then you can sway, but keeping your eyes on that Drishti will help your balance. And then bring your heels back down to the mat. Bring your hands back down to the floor, bending your knees. Again, inhale, sweep your hands up your shins, half forward fold, nice straight back, gazes down. Exhale, forward fold, bring the crown of your head to the ground, or toward the ground, not to the ground. And then sweep your hands from your mat all the way up overhead. Sending your gaze up to your hands. And bring your hands down heart center, Anjali Mudra. And extend your hands out in front of you. And we'll do the international twist, International Day of Yoga twist. I'm not sure if it has its own name, but it's taking your gaze and looking at your right hand, your right fingertips, and then send your right fingertips out in a 180-degree circle to the back of you, while your left hand comes and rests on your right shoulder. Keep your gaze on those right fingertips, and then send those fingertips back again 180 degrees back to the front, bringing your left hand to meet your right hand. And then we'll do that on the other side. So switch your gaze to your left fingertips. Move those fingertips in 180 degrees to the back while you move your right hand to your left shoulder. Inhale, come back to center. We'll do that again on the right side. So follow your fingertips to the back, bringing your left hand to your right shoulder. And then inhale, come back to center. And one last time on the left side, follow your left fingertips. And then come back to center. Sweep your hands up overhead and exhale, forward fold, come down, bending your knees. Inhale, half forward fold, straightening your back, sending your gaze down. And then forward fold, bringing the crown of your head toward the ground. And then sweep your hands up overhead, from the mat all the way up overhead. And bringing your hands together, you send your gaze up to your hands and bring your hands to heart center. And we're going to turn this way. We're going to find a Drishti in front of you and just focus on bringing your leg up in front of you, like it's at a 90-degree angle, finding that Drishti to help you feel stable in your balance. And then we're going to move our right foot to the back and create a high lunge. So step your right foot in back of you, maintaining that focus on your Drishti. And then we're going to bring that right foot back again, a little wobbly, but bring it back up. So your leg is lifted at a 90-degree angle, finding that Drishti on the wall. Bring your leg in back, coming into a high lunge. And then bringing it back. There we go, that's better. So back at the right angle. And one last time, extend that right leg and back of you into that high lunge. And then bring your feet together. We'll do that on the other side. So let's do a deep inhale first, sweeping our hands up and overhead. Bringing palms together, coming back down to Anjali Mudra, to your heart center. And then lifting your left leg up, bringing it into a 90-degree angle. Focusing on the Drishti ahead of you. We move that left leg to the back into a high lunge position. And then bring it back, lifting it up. So your leg is now lifted, 90-degree angle. And again, extend it to the back, coming into a high lunge. And then come back, lifting it upright. And one last time, extending it back into a high lunge. And then come back, bring both feet together, do a great big inhale, circle, bringing your hands up overhead, circling your head, send your eyes up to your hands, and then forward fold, bring your hands down to the mat, bending your knees, half forward fold, straightening your legs, straightening out your back, gaze is down, and then forward fold, sending the crown of your head down toward the mat. And sweep your hands all the way up overhead, sending your gaze up to your hands. Bring your hands to heart center. And then we'll bring our hands to the back of our hips. Bring our feet hip width apart. Gently relax your shoulders and roll them back. Tuck your chin to your chest. And then just drop your shoulders back for a supported back bend. This one might be good to try to gaze at your nose. Or at least down your nose, not going cross-eyed. And then come back up. How's everyone doing? It is pretty warm. We're going to sweep our hands up overhead again. Deep inhale, exhale, forward fold. Bring both hands down to the mat. Extend our right leg to the back of the mat, coming into runner's lunge. So our front foot's between our hands, knees over your ankle, back leg is active, heels pushing to the back of the mat. We're going to plant our right hand down on the mat and sweep our left hand up and guide your eyes along with your hand up so that your eyes follow your hand up to the sky. And then bring your left hand back down to the mat. Bring your left foot back to meet your right foot coming into plank position. So again, your weight of your hand should be more on the fingertips and the balls. This one's a little harder to accomplish that, but try to concentrate on that. Your legs are active, heels are pushing to the back of the mat. Navel's tucked to the spine, elevating your hips slightly. And then come down to the mat, either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, keeping your elbows against your ribs. And keeping your hands where they land under you, and gently push up, come into cobra. And then lift your hips up and bring them to your ankles, bringing your third eye down to the mat. So that's the Drishti point, extending your arms out straight, coming into child's pose. Inhale, come back up to tabletop. Tuck your toes under and come into downward dog. So your hands are splayed apart, fingertips are splayed apart, arms are straight. Chest is reaching toward your thighs. This might be another one where you can try to gaze at your belly button. But don't bend your neck to an awkward degree to try to do that. And just pedal out here for a few moments. We'll take 5 deep breaths. Inhale. Exhale for 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. Inhale. Exhale for 3. Inhale. Exhale for 4. Inhale, exhale for 5. Now walk your feet up to your hands, coming into forward fold. And sweep your hands from your mat all the way up overhead, sending your gaze up to your hands, and bring your hands to heart center. We're going to do tree pose. So we're going to lift our right leg up. Good. Sorry about that. Let right leg up. And then when you land it, you can have your toes on the mat and your heel on your ankle, or you can land on your calf, or you can land on the inside of your thigh. And find a Drishti out in front of you that's stable and still, so that your still eyes will still your mind. And if you want to grow your tree, you can lift your hands up overhead and open them. And then from here, not putting your foot all the way back on the mat, extend it in back of you, coming into that high lunge position we did earlier. And then plant your back foot down. We're going to come into warrior 2. So find a nice, comfortable, you may need to scooch a little bit more to get into a good, comfortable warrior 2 position. Front, your knees over your ankle, back foot, back edge of your foot's nice and snug into the mat. You're pushing down and out. Your chest is open to the long side of the mat. And then open your arms up to shoulder height. And slowly turn your eyes to your left fingertips. And then we're going to follow our left fingertips up and over our head as our right hand goes to our right thigh. And that's reverse warrior. And then come back to warrior 2, keeping your gaze on your fingertips. Your right arm is back up at shoulder height. And again, follow your left fingertips up overhead into reverse warrior. And then bring your left arm down to your left thigh, sending your right arm up overhead, and then send your gaze up to your right hand, so that your right hand is straight up toward the sky. And then turn, bringing both hands down to the mat, back to runner's lunge. And gently lift your back leg, bringing it to meet your front foot, coming into forward fold. And then sweeping your hands up overhead, following your gaze up to your hands. Then bring your hands to Anjali Mudra. We'll do that on the other side. So inhale, sweep your hands up overhead. Big inhale, big exhale, forward fold. Placing both hands on the mat, extend your left foot to the back of the mat. Find that right angle in your front leg. Active thigh and leg in the back. Plant your left hand down on the mat. Sweep your right hand up to the sky, following it with your eyes. And then bring the right hand back down. Bring your right foot to meet your left foot and back, coming into plank pose. Heels are pushing to the back of the mat. Navel's tucked up. And then slowly come down to the mat, chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. Gently push up into cobra. And then bring yourself up to tabletop and then send your hips back down to your ankles, bringing your third eye to the mat, extending your arms out front to child's pose. Then inhale, come back up to tabletop, tucking your toes under, lift your hips up to downward dog. And we'll just pedal out here for a few moments. Take 5 deep breaths. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and one last time, inhale, and exhale. Walk your feet up to your hands, coming into forward fold. Sweep your hands from the mat all the way up to the sky, bringing your gaze up to your hands, and then bringing your hands to heart center, Anjali. And we'll do a tree pose on the other side. So lift your left leg up. So it's at a 90-degree angle. And then bring it back down so your toes are at your ankle or at the shin or on your thigh. And finding that Drishti out and ahead of you so that you can still your mind with your eyes. And if you want to grow your tree, bringing your arms up overhead. And from here, without putting your foot on the mat, if you can, extend your left leg out and back of you, coming into high lunge. And then pivot your back foot down so you're going to come into warrior two. Again, you may want to wiggle a little bit to get into a good spot for warrior two. Chest is open to the long side of the mat. Arms come up to shoulder height. Slowly turn your gaze to your right hand, your right fingertips. And then reverse warrior, you're going to follow your right hand up overhead while you drop your left hand to your left thigh. Just overhead, don't extend it too far back so your head's looking up to the sky. Then follow your fingertips back down, lifting your left arm up, coming back into warrior two. It's really anchoring your feet into the mat as well. Then lift your left hand up again for warrior, reverse warrior. And then follow your hand back down, lifting your back arm up, back to warrior two. Then bring your right arm to your right thigh, lifting your left hand up to the sky and sending your gaze up to your left hand. Then bring your left hand back down to the mat. You're back into runner's lunge. And bring your left foot up to meet your right foot. You're in forward fold, and then gently come up, sweeping your hands up overhead, following your gaze up to your hands, and then bring your hands back down to heart center. Then we're going to bring our pinky toes to the edges of the mat. Feet are tucked in, 45-degree angle. Hands still in Anjali Mudra. Slowly lower your hips, bending your knees deeply. Come into wide-legged squat. Bringing your torso between your legs, your elbows resting on your knees. And you can bring your Anjali hands down toward the mat. Create a little bit more stretch in your knees. Then we'll sit down on the mat and we'll roll back down to the mat. So you can one vertebrae at a time roll or express method, whichever works best for you. And bring your knees to your chest and give them a nice gentle hug. You can rock back and forth, massage your lower back. And then wrap your, interlace your fingertips and wrap them around your left knee, sending your right leg down to the mat, flexing both feet so the toes are pointing up to the sky. Back of your neck is nice and long. Lower back is reaching to the mat. Inhale, bring your right knee back up, give a nice gentle hug, and then extend your left leg down to the bottom of the mat, wrapping your hands around your right knee. Again, both toes are flexed, pointing up to the sky. Lower back's reaching toward the mat. Back of your neck's nice and straight and long. Inhale, bringing both legs together. Nice hug to your chest. And we'll do that one more time on each side. So wrap your hands around your left leg, extending your right leg down to the bottom of the mat. And lift your right leg back up, knees to chest, gentle hug, and then extend your left leg down to the bottom of the mat. Feet flexed, toes pointing to the sky, lower back on the mat. And then bring your left leg back, give your knees to chest, a nice hug again. And then extend both legs back down to the mat. And just remind yourself of the mountain essentials that we go through. So flexing your feet up to the, so that your toes are pointing to the sky, your legs are nice and straight, soft bend in your knees, navel's tucked to the spine, lowering your back to the mat, shoulders are relaxed, roll back. Crown of your head is reaching to the top or bottom of your mat. We're going to do a concentration exercise. I'm not sure if it was intended that way, but Dave Swenson, who's a big instructor in Ashtanga yoga, I saw this on his site. So with yourself being in mountain pose, you're going to lift your right leg up off the mat as high as what's comfortable. Then curl your toes down. So you're tightening your toes like you're making a fist with your toes. Then you're tightening your ankle, tightening the calf, tightening the muscles around your knee, tightening the thigh, all the way up and tightening the buttocks, your cushion there, and just hold in that tight position. Hold. And then releasing from the buttocks first, then releasing from the thigh, releasing the knee, releasing the calf, releasing the ankle, and then unfurling your toes, and let your leg float back down to the mat. Relax and release your whole body. So just feel that nice soothing feeling. We'll do that on the other side, left foot. So lift it a little bit off the mat. Curl your toes under like you're trying to make a fist with your foot. Bring the, tighten your ankle, tighten your calf, tighten the muscles around your knee, tighten your thigh, tighten your left buttocks, and hold, hold, hold. Then releasing from your buttocks first, then your thigh, and your knee, your shin, your ankle, and unfurl your toes. Float your leg back down to the mat. Relax and release. Release your whole body. We'll do that with our stomach. So just tighten, bring your navel, tucking your navel to your spine, and then tightening your stomach, and hold, 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 and then release or relax your stomach and release your whole body. We'll do that, what we did with the leg, only with our arms. So lift your right arm up off the mat and take each finger one at a time and curl it under. And then creating a fist when you're finished with the thumb. So tighten your fist, tighten your wrist, tighten your elbow, tighten your shoulder, and hold, 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 and then untighten from your shoulder first to your elbow, to your wrist, and then unfurl each finger like a flower. And then float your hand back down to the mat. Relax and release your whole body. We'll do that on the left side. So lift your left arm up, curl each one finger at a time into a fist. When it's in a fist, tighten your fist, tighten your wrist, tighten your elbow, tighten your shoulder. Hold, hold, hold. And then release from your shoulder first, untighten your elbow, then untighten your wrist, and unfurl your hand like petals on a flower opening. Float your hand back down to the mat. Relax and release your whole body. Then turn your head gently to the right. You don't have to use any tension here, just slowly turning it to the right. And then back to center. And then slowly turn it to the left. And back to center. Now tuck your chin toward your chest, lifting your head up off the mat. And hold, hold, hold. And then float your head back down to the mat. Relax and release your whole body. Now, using your face, scrunch it up as tight as you can, as if you've just eaten something very bitter. And hold, and hold, and hold. Relax your face and release your whole body. Now, using your same face, and see if you can do this with your eyes closed. Make an expression on your face like you have complete surprise. It's just wide open with surprise. And hold, and hold, and hold. And then relax your face and release your whole body. In our last movement, we're going to take a deep inhale. But when you're inhaling, I want you to concentrate in your mind, following a breath from your toes, all the way up your legs, through your body, up to your nose. So deeply inhale, drawing that breath from your toes on up to your nose. And then exhale through your mouth. Nice big sigh. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale from your toes to your nose. And then release with a big sigh through your mouth. And one last time, follow your breath from your toes to your nose. And then exhale through your mouth and just release your whole body down. When you're ready, you can wiggle your fingers and your toes, roll over to your favorite side and come back up to a seated position.